Hi, I'm Tom Mihok, and welcome back to my personal finance course. This is our first chapter. It's called Introduction to Personal Finance. You got to start somewhere, right? And this is the second segment. The first segment dealt with things like what personal finance is, our A, B, and C securities, and what you prefer, life stages and time frames of investing, and introduce the financial planning process. If you're here as a student in one of my courses, welcome. I'm glad you took the course, and I'm glad you're here. If you found this through YouTube or online or elsewhere, if you know me or heard about it and are here, welcome. I'm glad to have you. We're now in the second stage of the personal financial planning process, and this is developing goals. So your overall goal through studying personal finance and implementing in your life is to have financial stability, economic satisfaction, achieve the highest standard of living possible, right? One question you want to ask yourself as you're developing your goals is, how do I feel about money, stability, my ability to support others? What does that mean to me? Do I want to support others, a family, a home, cars, or do I want to be in a very frugal lifestyle where I support just myself and keep my costs very low, for example? And they're not necessarily mutually exclusive, but it's just an example, the kind of things to think about. Where do I want to be in 1, 5, 10, 35 years? How do I want to be living then? Shorter term, setting goals like saving for down payment on a home, and then you want to work backwards to determine the impact on your current lifestyle. So you set a goal for yourself and then work backwards to figure out how you're going to get there. Next stage, identifying courses of action. Save more, spend less, meaning consume less now to accumulate more for the future. Pay down your debt faster. Change jobs for higher pay and accepting the impact that has on your lifestyle, right? If you find a job with higher pay, it typically means less convenience, more time spent on your job, maybe more travel, those kinds of things. Accepting more risk or taking less risk with your investments. These are typical example courses of action. Pay more in the current time for your risk management, meaning insurance. So that might be, I had a parent who was in assisted living. I want to own long-term care insurance. I know it's expensive, but I want to own it because it was a difficult time for my family because mom or dad was in assisted living. I have 3 children. I'm the primary breadwinner. I want to be sure I have enough disability insurance and enough life insurance. I'm going to pay today in premiums to make sure that I have a lot contracted with an insurance company to pay us if something happens. So we're reducing our family net worth a little bit every year to have the benefit of a contractual amount paid to us if something happens. Next stage, assess your alternatives. There are usually many ways to solve a problem, not just one. If you decide you want to live a lifestyle with large home, elaborate vacations, multiple cars, you can do that, but you better make a lot of money or have a lot to start with. You could live a more frugal lifestyle and have plenty financial security, but you may not have several cars and an elaborate lifestyle. But if that's acceptable, great. And some would argue that's smart. Certainly, if your goal is financial stability or financial success, there are a lot of ways to get there. The best solution is usually the lowest cost, least risk, least complex. That's usually the best solution in terms of plans you decide to implement in your personal financial planning. Now, opportunity cost. The next segment after this one is our time value of money segment. We're going to learn about money today and money in the future and its value and why it changes and how to calculate it. Opportunity costs lead us into that discussion about time value of money. It's a trade-off, something given up. It's when you have to make a choice. An opportunity cost is I'm taking this job, paying more, but requires a lot more commitment, which means less time at home. Or I'm taking this job, which means more time, more balance in my lifestyle, but I'll make less, so I can't do quite as much as I thought I wanted. Or I need to live more frugally to be able to do that. It's not always measured in money. It might be time, time away from loved ones, lifestyle comfort. And uncertainty exists in decisions about most courses of action. You don't know what the future holds. That's one reason why senior executives, CEOs, CFOs get paid so much, because they make hard decisions that half the people don't always like on behalf of their corporations. And a family, you have to make decisions that are not easy either. And sometimes, very often, the future is not known. You make the choices that you can based on the information you have at that time. And it may change in the future. Now, interestingly, this is the step as a financial advisor I find, and frankly, in running my own financial life, I find it's most difficult, is the implementation. Take the best solution and implement it. It's hard to pull the trigger. It's hard to make the decision. It's easy to do the analysis, and information is available all over the web these days and so many places. You can find plenty of possible decisions, but doing something is hard. In my opinion, it's the hardest of the 6 stages, and in my observation. Now, usually in the classroom, I get to ask students, which one do you think is the hardest? Interestingly, in recent years, more and more students choose this one. I don't know why. Previous years, earlier years, they never chose this stage, but increasingly they have. So it's easy to think and analyze, but it's hard to act. Develop an action plan, short-term, long-term, and then implement it. The easiest clients to work with are people that I help them figure out their current situation. I help them determine their options. I lay out pluses and minuses for these options, and they make a decision and implement. It doesn't always happen. Many clients can't do that, but many do, and those are delightful people to work with because they listen, take an idea, ask questions, customize, and then implement. And that's a wonderful way to be able to do things. The last stage: review, update, revise, implement. Now, I have a theory about this. I can't prove it. I keep looking. I can't find it yet, but I guarantee you I will eventually. My theory is that if your goal from an investment standpoint, for example, is to have the highest returning fund investments, highest returning investment returns. That's redundant, sorry. That's great. And if you regularly look for it and update it, you probably do very well. But what we'll find out in the time value of money segment that's coming next is just a 0.5% difference, a 0.5%. If you get a 0.5% more every year for 30 years, 40 years, the difference is incredible. It's an order of magnitude difference. To find a fund or a return that provides 10% more return in a year versus, say, last year is very hard. To move from, if you're looking, say, at your 401k selections, look at these funds versus these fund choices. It's not easy to find one that's 10% more. But if you can, through reviewing, updating, revising, and implementing, if you can do this and review regularly, quarterly, twice a year, once a year at least, and make changes that are to your benefit, my theory is that the people who do this regularly do better than those who find the highest returning fund and then do nothing. So the question to ask yourself is your plan working? Everything in life changes. Adjust accordingly. Life situation, the economy, the political environment, inflation, how the economy's doing, how the stock market's doing, inflation rates, interest rates, all these things change as time goes by and as you age. Review regularly, monthly, quarterly, annually, as I said, depending on the task. Meaning, maybe with your investments you look at quarterly, maybe your risk management, your insurances you look at annually or something like that. It's a critical step to maintain your direction to success. And I chose these photos because these people are all enjoying success. Single people, couples, families. They're doing all the stages of their personal financial planning, including the reviewing, the updating, revising, and the implementing. Your best plan should be smart, specific, measurable, action-oriented, realistic, and time-based. Now, I add to this, though, they should be flexible, adaptable, and encourage your use. When we get into the third chapter where we talk about budgets and balance sheets and personal cash flow statements, if it's so difficult to do, you may never do it. Now, I don't recommend doing it, on a piece of paper, on a like this, or just in your head and never ever putting it to paper or putting it on a computer. Do that. But if you can't keep to it, but you find it useful, do it for 3 months. 3 months before you get married. 6 months before you change jobs. Try to keep up with it annually if you can, but if you drop it now and then, that's okay. It should also be flexible, adaptable, and it should be a system that encourages you to use it. If you like apps, do it with an app. If you like spreadsheets, do it with a spreadsheet. If you like pencil and paper, do it with pencil and paper. So the elements of a financial plan correspond, surprise, surprise, to the chapters and the material in this course. This is the introduction. You see it here. We're wrapping up this chapter. Next comes obtaining financial resources through your career. This might be your ability to earn income might be the largest asset you have, and I'll show you why. Tracking your financial status and well-being. Where am I? You would know through a personal balance sheet, personal cash flow statement, keeping a budget. These things help focus your financial life and help you figure out where you are and help you grow and help you maintain stability and achieve success. Taxes. Do we avoid them? Do we evade them? Are they changing? This is, as I tell students, and I'm sure I'll say it in the video, this is among the most boring things you can learn, but it's so critical because you pay taxes in almost all the activities of your life. Key to know basic things about how taxes work. Saving and cash management, borrowing, spending and purchase decisions, leasing, buying, renting, key decisions. Risk management, management of your insurances, management of potential losses, outcomes that are lower than you expected. Investing, how do we invest? What do we do? What should we know? Retirement, estate planning, and some others like special circumstances, marriage, divorce, businesses, special needs children, the elderly, planning for the elderly. Employee benefits, we have a workshop we'll do on employee benefits. These are benefits received through your employment. And education planning like primary, secondary, college, and graduate school for children and adults too. These are all covered in this course. So this has been the second segment, Introduction to Personal Finance. Welcome. Thanks for taking the course. I'm thrilled to have you. Stay tuned for the next segment, which is on the time value of money. Thanks for being here.